steering it is broken down.
Round number 4 of the Formula 1 season takes us to Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix, and let's get stuck into the news heading into this weekend. Starting things off then, the FIA have admitted in their meeting in Paris that they were at fault for the points error for Ferrari for last season. Now basically, at the German Grand Prix last season, Ferrari accumulated a total of 10 points between both the drivers. Those were added to their Drivers' Championship totals, a mixture of Charles Leclerc and Fernando Alonso, but in the Constructors' Championship, those 10 points were not added on, and the FIA have admitted that they were at fault for this points issue. Now, of course, we've been wondering and speculating, why did Ferrari do nothing about this? Why don't they say something? Why don't they put the test to the FIA right there and then? Well, now we know why. Ferrari have confirmed to have lied about their points total that they submitted as evidence to the FIA in their investigation. Now, Ferrari claimed that they had 275 points in the championship. Add 10 would put them on 285 points. They actually achieved 270 points in that championship season. So why lie about it? Let's get straight to business. Ferrari achieved 270 points in the season last year. Add on the 10 points that they are rightfully owed, will put them up to 280 points. Would it make a difference to their Constructors' Championship total? No. Mercedes-Benz in that season accumulated 284 points. Total that then with Ferrari on 270 points will put them on 280. It wouldn't make a difference. So what Ferrari tried to do is manipulate their points that they got in that season. So if they did confirm to have had 275 plus 10, that's 285. That puts them in front of Mercedes. They would have then got third in the championship and probably more money from it. Very clever, but it didn't work out. The FIA are now considering further action against Ferrari for lying about their points total from this. This is going to put Ferrari in the headlines now for the complete wrong reasons, as last week we were just about complaining about Mercedes-Benz and what they were up to with the FIA. It swung in the complete opposite direction, all against Ferrari. Now, having a look at the race news then for this weekend, and Ford and Williams will be breathing a sigh of relief as their major upgrades have now come forwards, which brings them closer to the midfield teams. Of course, we've seen for the first few races and also through pre-season, Ford and Williams have had to deal with most of their new pieces of their cars not being added on and have had to run basically a D-spec from last season. Now they've officially got their new season car pieces and they look a little bit closer. It's quite clear to see that Ford are benefiting more from these upgrades than Williams are, but that remains to be seen in races and in qualifying and other different circuits whether this pays into any form of effect. Renault, Audi and Jaguar are looking very, very close for pace here at Canada. There's really not that much to separate them, and this could be quite an interesting battle between these three teams. Ferrari are looking much, much faster this weekend and actually look to be a little bit quicker than McLaren. McLaren have been a team that have struggled a little bit this weekend, especially with their top-end speed. They've been very, very quick in the corners, but their top-end speed is lacking ever so slightly. It's not too damaging for McLaren, but it's something that they are aware of. Porsche's upgrades once again are failing to work for the drivers. Just as Porsche are trying to salvage this season after it started so badly, upgrades here in Canada would have really given them that psychological boost. It's just not worked for them. They're still off the pace and look to be still fighting at the back with Ford and Williams. It's not working out for them this season. And now, without further ado, let's get straight into it. It's time for round number 4. It's the Canadian Grand Prix. Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Fox98 here. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the F1 Journey for you guys today here on the channel. Today we are here for round number 4, which is the Canadian Grand Prix this time around. And this is a track that's traditionally very weak for the AIs. So this is one that I need to take advantage of and try and pick up a race victory in this video. If you do end up enjoying the video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you've not yet subscribed already, to keep up to date with all of my content and to help support the channel as we move onwards. And into qualifying then, it was actually a really messy qualifying session. So our first lap was, again, just a bank lap as per usual. My second run here was only good enough for P6. Then I actually decided to charge up my battery and go again. That put me up into P3, so I was happy about that. And we did get the fastest final sector as well. But I knew there was so much more time to find, especially in the first sector. And you can see that we're finding the time. We're already half a second up in the first sector. So we found a huge amount of time compared to our previous lap. But this is where it just slowly but surely started to fade away from us. But as we carry on our lap here, we're still a good half second up on our deltas. So we're not doing a bad job of things. As we go through now in towards this phase, we lost about a tenth, maybe 2 tenths through that part of the lap, so it wasn't all smooth and clean through there. And then as we go in towards the hairpin, we just get it completely wrong. We go way too deep, carry the speed too much, we knock off a front wing end plate, and we are still 2 tenths up, but by the time we get to the final chicane, we're going to have no front grip, so we're not going to be able to really attack the chicane as we normally would. So it's just not going to go to plan. So we go through towards the chicane again. Look, car just not responding very well, and then we lose all the delta time that we did gain there. So what was looking to be hopefully a good qualifying session turned out not to be. We only qualified in P7, and we definitely could have got a lot more than that. We were fastest in the first sector, we lost time in the middle sector, and it didn't work out for us. But having a look at the grid, it is a Mercedes-Benz front row lockout, Reese taking pole position ahead of Lewis Hamilton, with a Ferrari second row of Noah James ahead of Charles Leclerc, so Ferrari picking up the pace. Then we've got Max Verstappen in the Jaguar in P5 ahead of Devon Butler in the Audi in 6th place. Then we have got myself in P7 ahead of Mason Wood in the Red Bull car. Then we've got Lando Norris and then Sam. So Red Bull and McLaren both had difficult qualifying sessions this time around. Next up is George Russell. He qualifies in front of Esteban Ocon, who lines up in 12th on the grid ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, with Pierre Gasly doing a great job for Ford in 14th place after Ford brings some upgrades to this weekend. Hulkenberg in 15th ahead of Pascal Wehrlein down in 16th place. And then it's going to be Valtteri Bottas in P17, who out-qualifies Nico Rosberg in the Porsche. That's quite poor. Lucas Weber is in P19. Carlos Sainz unfortunately can't replicate Pierre Gasly's upturn in form and qualifies down in P20. As we have a look then at the race strategy, it's going to be a 2-stop race. Hypersofts to 2 sets of Ultrasofts. That's what we're going to do. That's what we plan on trying to do to win this Grand Prix. We've got 5 red lights now for this race, and it's lights out. Here we go then to start the Canadian Grand Prix. It's a good start for the Mercedes-Benz drivers up front. A great start for Lucas Weber in the background there, trying to make his way up the grid as we now try and fight our way through. We get past Devon Butler into the first corner, and that's us up into 6th place straight away. It's a good run as well of Max Verstappen as we go in towards turns 3 and 4 now, in towards the chicane. We dive it down the inside of Verstappen there. A little bit of carbon fiber comes off into the background there, but it is the Mercedes-Benz duo leading the way. But we are still on a charge here. Now we're going down the inside of Charles Leclerc, and it's a cracking start for us in our McLaren car, and we're up into 4th place after starting in P7 after a matter of corners there. A really good start to this Grand Prix. And now on to lap 2 of the Grand Prix here, and we're having a look at Noah James in front of us, using up some of our engine modes as we try and press him down in the Ferrari. We get a great run through the chicane though. Noah doesn't get the best exit. Now we've got Rich and Hyde fuel mixtures, all of it going on. Hamilton, fast lap of the race so far. We're going to go onto the grass ever so slightly here to try and take this move against Noah. Definitely didn't need to go onto the grass. He gave me enough space. I just pulled out very aggressively and put myself onto the grass. Very risky stuff there, but we're up into 3rd place, and we're having a monstrous start to this Grand Prix. And now we're trying to press onwards towards the Mercedes-Benz cars. Now we're looking back here towards Max Verstappen and Devon Butler here. So Butler going around the outside of Verstappen, and it was Max that lost the front wing end plate. So we must have made contact there. Oh, floating tyres. Love that glitch on this game still. Yeah, so it was Verstappen that actually lost the front wing end plate. He actually made contact with the side of my car when I made my overtake on him. But that doesn't stop Verstappen from flying back past again with the DRS there. And we've got more floating tyres. Great. And now as you can see, we've got, in this queue, we've got Verstappen, Butler, both the 2 Red Bulls and the other Audi car in there as well. And speaking of the other Audi car of Devon Butler, here he comes then on the driver perspective there, making his move on Verstappen, and this time around now he'll be able to pull away from Max. He just needs to hold him off on this straight, and he's got DRS to do so. So for Devon Butler, all is well. And we've got a full course safety car then on the end of lap 4 to start the 5th lap then of this Grand Prix, and that has been caused, I'm not sure why. There's one driver that's out of the Grand Prix. I believe it's a Williams car that's out of the running. But on the end of that lap, we are going to take advantage of the safety car and get off these hyper soft tyres and fit on a set of ultra soft tyres. Strangely enough, Mercedes did the same thing, but with both their cars. So Hamilton and Rees have opted to stack in the pit lane, which might just come back to bite them. But what it does mean is that whoever was out in front, and I believe it was Hamilton that was in front of Rees, we've now basically jumped Rees in the pit stops. There he is just behind, and he's going to fall back behind quite a few of these cars, whereas we're going to rejoin just in front of a few of them, just in front of the Porsche car there of Nico Rosberg. So we're now into 14th place here, but we've crucially made our pit stop, so that's fine by me. Now we've got green flag racing here, and as the green flag is already out, I'm going to get on with it, and I make my move on Pierre Gasly. Actually touched the wall there slightly, double check for damage, nothing done, but cold tyres there nearly cost me very, very heavily indeed. But now we get back racing once again. Now we've got a very weird scenario here as we try and have a look around the outside of Hulkenberg in towards turn 2. Doesn't work on that occasion, but Hulkenberg gets a scrappy exit there. Now as we go in towards turns 3 and 4, we're going to do what we did to Verstappen on lap 1 and get past Nico Hulkenberg, but this time Hulkenberg keeps his front wing. But yeah, now we've got an interesting scenario where we've got drivers that are on ultra soft tyres that are doing a one-stop strategy. Those are on the hyper softs that didn't stop under the safety car, who are going to be severely screwed over by this. And then we've got myself, Hamilton and Rees, who have all stopped for a fresh set of tyres and are now pretty much in the mix and trying to battle our way back up the grid. That's what it's going to look like at the moment. Now we've got to see if we can try and make advantage of it as we now go in towards the hairpin. Hamilton here is having a look around the outside of Daniel Ricciardo in the Renault. Now we're going to close right up to the back of the pair of them here, and you can see now Hamilton is side by side with Daniel Ricciardo, and then that's my teammate Sam there, and Sam hasn't stopped under the safety car. He carried on, so that strategy's not working out well for him, but we're now going to go towards the inside line of Daniel Ricciardo. Hamilton makes the move stick on Ricciardo, but Hamilton then blocks me off going towards the chicane there. Ricciardo makes his stop. Hamilton gets it all wrong into the chicane though, and we get past Lewis Hamilton. That's a big overtake for us, and there's Rees in the background just trying to work his way through. Hamilton now under pressure from both the Ford of Gasly and also Hulkenberg in the Jaguar, but he gets clear of those two, and now it is myself versus Lewis Hamilton. Of course, we are now in the net race lead once everyone makes their stops, but it's going to be me and then Hamilton, Rees there. Still got quite a few cars to get past, so he's having a little bit of a struggle as we now press onwards here with the battle between Pierre Gasly and Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg goes around the outside of Pierre Gasly now as he takes the inside line for the next corner. That's going to be his, but we're back on board with myself here. Now Hamilton here, who lost it in the chicane earlier, goes ahead and takes the position straight back. A little bit of contact there between the two tyres. Not even with DRS, Hamilton just gets past us, blocks us on the exit of the chicane there. Very aggressive defensive manoeuvre from Lewis Hamilton, and now we need to try and recompose ourselves and go again against Hamilton as we now go in towards the hairpin section now. We can move up the inside. Not quite. We've decided to think better of it. We're going to go for the attack on the straight. We've got Hamilton's got no one in front of him, and we've got all of the pace to get past him. I've saved up my engine power, and now we're going to go for it here. So as we go onto the straight now, myself versus Lewis Hamilton, we're going to go towards the outside line, towards the chicane now. Brake nice and late here versus Lewis Hamilton. Give him the room and the respect as we go past Lewis Hamilton for a second time in this Canadian Grand Prix, and we're back up into a net P1, P5 in total, and it is the Ferrari leading the way. Now to lap 9 to start lap 10 in the Grand Prix. We've got my teammate Sam, who seems to be extending his stint, unless the stint was to go this long on the hypersoft tyres, but annoyingly, from my teammate's perspective, this is not what we wanted to have happen. Of course, we're now going to blast past Sam, and he hasn't made his first stop yet. He still has to make 2 stops. We only have to make 1 stop. We're now a pit stop ahead of him as we now get past Sam, and we're through into what is going to be P4. But Sam actually makes his way into the pits now, and he is going to drop far down the order, and so too does Charles Leclerc. He makes the stop. Now we've got George Russell and Esteban Ocon to contain with, who are both on the ultra soft tyres. So these guys are going to be going very long into this Grand Prix because they're going to go onto the super soft tyres later on down the line, and this is where we need to pass them now. But in theory, we're now in a very, very strong position versus backmarkers. all the top 4 who are in line right now have to stop again, but we're not doing a good job on this lap. This lap first sector-wise has been seriously scruffy, and now Lewis Hamilton here has got a great chance to get back past us again now with the DRS. We've got it still versus Esteban Ocon, but Hamilton now is going to try and have a look, but we break later than Lewis Hamilton. Get the move done, defend it in towards the chicane, but Hamilton gets a much better exit than we do. Now towards the hairpin section we go once again. Hamilton and myself are going to have to scrap it out. In towards the hairpin we go, and we have the inside line versus Lewis Hamilton, and we're going to close the door nice and sharply there on the Mercedes driver. Now we just got to hope that we've got DRS here to try and cover ourselves on the next straight. We do so versus Esteban Ocon, so now we can just try and take into the slipstream of Ocon, who's got the DRS on Devon Butler. We've got the DRS on him, and Hamilton, nope, he's not going to get past us. So we survived that attack, but we get a fantastic run through the chicane as per usual, because the AIs really aren't that good at the chicane around this track. And now we go towards the inside line here versus Esteban Ocon, diving at the inside, and we get that move done. Ocon has a little sneak towards the inside line, so I just sort of give him the room there on the exit, but it's all okay. And we're up into second place now in the Grand Prix, and now we're trying to focus here on George Russell, who is the leader of the Canadian Grand Prix in the Audi. So now we're going to see if we can find a way past him, and the top 4 are making huge gains away from the rest of the field here. So Ocon and Russell are in a very strong position now in this Grand Prix to get some serious points. And as speaking of some serious points, one of those sets of points though, not going to be P1. I want that, so we're going to go around the outside of George Russell. A beautiful move at the exit of the chicane there. Now we can just open up the DRS and basically use the second bite of DRS to cover ourselves against George Russell, and we're up into the lead of the Grand Prix. On to lap 12 of the Grand Prix now, and we're just trying to pull away from George Russell, but we get a lot of curb there. Back end slides ever so slightly, and we were lucky actually that we didn't spin that into the wall. Russell now retakes the lead of the Canadian Grand Prix. Ocon now is stalking all over the back of us. Hamilton is stalking all over the back of us, but as we go towards the hairpin, we're going to shove Ocon wide, not let him try and overtake us. Now we've got to repass George Russell once again after that slight error there from ourselves. Cost us dearly, but luckily it didn't force us into a spin and break our front wing. That would have been disastrous, but now we're going to draw, basically draw alongside George Russell and fly past George Russell in this Grand Prix, and that's us now back up into the lead of the race. And now we need to try, well, we've got the gap there, so now we need to try and pull away, because Lewis Hamilton is a big threat for us. He is the man that can stop us from winning this Canadian Grand Prix, and he's fighting away with Esteban Ocon. In fact, he's passed Esteban Ocon, so that battle is now done and dusted. Ocon though does have DRS to try and respond against Hamilton, but it's going to be no use. And now we're on board with Hamilton once again, who's now trying to attack George Russell in the Audi car. And as Hamilton goes around the outside here in towards turn 1, Lewis Hamilton is going to try and take second place off of George Russell. Russell though will defend the position. He's got the inside line here. Hamilton should have a slightly better exit, but it doesn't work out for him actually. So Russell there, great job at defending against Hamilton, and that is all the meanwhile allowing me up front to pull away. And Hamilton, the more that he's stuck behind George Russell, you can see the gap. We are literally flying at this point. Hamilton is getting seriously held up now behind George Russell. He needs George Russell to come into the pits, and he does so. So Hamilton now is finally released off of the back of George Russell, and we can press on our way. We've got another yellow flag though down onto the start finish straight here, and as we go towards chicane, we've got another safety car there, and we were literally inches away. If that came out a second later, we were going across the chicane, and we would have missed the chance to come into the pits and fit on a fresh set of tyres and keep track position, but it just came out at the perfect time for us that we can come in and get a fresh set of tyres, and we're going to do that. So both of our pit stops today have been under the safety car. The safety car has really been causing chaos in this Canadian Grand Prix. We go on to another set of the ultra soft tyres. Lewis Hamilton goes on to a set of the super soft tyres. So he's taking a more cautious final stint here. So we've now got the quicker tyre at the end of the race versus Lewis Hamilton. Compared to, yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, that one. But now as the safety car is going to come in and maintain our speed, we now got to get the restart absolutely perfect as we now go through the final chicane here, and that is a great restart from Lewis Hamilton. Nowhere near us really, and we can now press onwards. Lap 19 of the Grand Prix, and we have the race lead. No more stops now. It is a simple sprint to the end. We've just got to pull away from Lewis Hamilton, who is going to be under pressure from Charles Leclerc. Now as we go a little bit further back down the grid here, we've got George Russell under pressure here from Esteban Ocon. Ocon absolutely flies past George Russell in the Renault car, and that's him up into third place now. So this is the battle for third. There, myself leads the Grand Prix. That's Lewis Hamilton in second place, and then we have got a fight for third between Ocon, Russell, and then Hulkenberg, I believe that is, in the other Jaguar car. So here comes George Russell now down the inside of Esteban Ocon into the final chicane. These guys scrapping hard on their super soft tyres. I believe Hulkenberg is also on the super soft tyres, so this is going to be quite interesting to see who can come out on top here. Is it going to be Audi? Is it going to be Renault? Is it going to be Jaguar? Or could anyone else close up to the back of these lot when they continue to fight all the way through. But as you can see, it is literally just going to be a full-on scrap now as Ocon here tries to have a look at George Russell in towards the chicane. And this time around, no, Ocon does actually get a very nice run through the chicane on the second half of that. Now it's going to be 3 wides here, and we've got one of the Ferrari cars there that's catching these lot now quite quickly as myself and Hamilton are off into the distance here. Ocon now is in front, and Hulkenberg is just about going to squeeze out George Russell there. So unfortunately for George, he's lost 2 places there in the span of a couple of corners. Now Ocon is having to go defensive here against Nico Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg is now trying to do the best he can as the lead Jaguar racer at the moment, and Russell now is trying to have a look around the outside into the pit straight. It's actually blocked off Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg couldn't do anything there because he was just blocked away. Ocon, so he got boxed in, and it is the Ferrari then of Noah James who's managed to catch up now to the top of these 3 cars. Now it's a 4-way scrap for the final place on the podium, but that scrap there between Russell Russell and Hulkenberg has just allowed Ocon a little bit of time to pull off away. But now Hulkenberg is going to drop down the order because Noah is trying to make the overtake on him for what is going to be P5 in this Grand Prix, and he does so. No, he doesn't actually. No, Hulkenberg fights that one off quite nicely. So good stuff there from Nico Hulkenberg to defend the position against Noah. But Noah is definitely going to be scrapping hard with him, and all the time that they scrap, it's going to cost them time. But Noah did eventually get past Hulkenberg, and now Russell is going to retake the position against Ocon there. So Ocon is now lost out in P3, but again, look, all that scrapping has just allowed everyone to close up to the back of each other. Now it's a case of Noah who's on the outside line here, and now Ocon is literally getting swarmed at this point. And Russell there is now going to stay in front of Esteban Ocon. Noah trying to go around the outside of Ocon. Noah trying to see if he can get the better exit versus Esteban, but on this occasion, the Renault driver is just about going to come out on top as they go in towards the chicane. They'll carry this fight onwards a little bit more. This is going to allow George Russell to pull away from these 3 cars, and that's also the Red Bull then of Mason Wood, and then the Ford of Pierre Gasly that's closing up to all this. So Gasly is having an absolutely cracking race so far for Ford as it goes Noah James around the outside of Esteban Ocon, gives Ocon a little bit of a barge on the exit, and he's up into 4th place now as Mason Wood there in the Red Bull is trying to make his way past the Jaguar car now of Hulkenberg as they go in towards the hairpin. Now Hulkenberg under some severe pressure here. He'll have DRS to help attack Hulkenberg, to help attack Ocon, but he's not going to have anything to help defend him against Mason Wood. He's just got to use the straight line speed that he's got there. Or is that Lando Norris actually that's attacking Hulkenberg? I can't quite tell. I think it is actually Lando Norris as Ocon now repasses Noah James in towards the chicane, but Noah covers it off quite nicely. And now, as you can see, we've got more DRS here for Hulkenberg to try and use to attack Noah with. He's going to go towards the outside line in towards turn 1 now. Here comes Esteban Ocon to try and make the move stick on Noah James in the Ferrari. Round the outside they go, continuing to scrap. George Russell is now literally flying off into the distance, taking advantage of the fact there's some heavy scrapping going on here between the Ferraris, the Renaults, the Jaguars, and also the Red Bull, as Noah there is doing his best to stick it in there versus Ocon, but Ocon steals the position, and now Noah James is going to be the one with the DRS, and all of them have got DRS here, and there's a lot of drivers now seriously catching up to this lot now as they go in towards the chicane here. Noah makes a beautiful move around the outside there of the chicane, literally compromises Ocon's line heavily to the point where Ocon now is under pressure. Hulkenberg switches to him from the outside to the inside, back to the outside, literally every side of the track you can think of. Now he goes in towards turn 2 here to try and repass Esteban Ocon, and he does so. Ocon losing places. Hulkenberg now is going to see if he can try and catch Noah James, or can Noah pull away? And by the looks of it, Noah is now escaped this DRS train and is cementing himself in 4th place as Ocon wants the position back, so he goes to the outside line off the hairpin, but that's not going to be a great overtaking spot there. Devon Butler is coming up to this pack. We've also got Reese and Leclerc there that are having a fight in towards the hairpin. So how badly Reese's race has gone. In the first stint, him and Hamilton were scrapping up front, but ever since the safety car came out, it's really ruined his race. As who we can see now, Lando Norris it is now. Let me just double check that. I can't tell. I can't see the number on the Red Bull. If it's Lando Norris or Mason Wood, as they now go through in towards the first corner here. We've got Pierre Gasly now trying to attack the Jaguar car of Nico Hulkenberg, and Gasly might just do this one here for the Ford car. He does so. So Pierre Gasly is literally having the race of his life for Ford right now, and of course with Ford down the bottom of the grid, this is critical for them in their fight fighting against Williams really, and potentially even Porsche for that matter, because Porsche are having a dreadful season in themselves, as the Red Bull car there of Mystery Man has passed his way through Esteban Ocon. Ocon now is going to have to defend against another set of drivers, and that's Pierre Gasly. Gasly again just having an electric Grand Prix so far, and now they're going to have the DRS here to attack against the Red Bull to give that slipstream advantage. Now it's a battle of who's got... Oh, that was so close to the wall there from Nico Hülkenberg. He nearly crashed then as they go 3 wide now in towards the chicane here. Hulkenberg will brake very late. They're all going to try and go for it here. It doesn't work out well for either of them, but they all maintain position from where they were earlier, and now Gasly here is going to have a scrap again versus Esteban Ocon as they go in towards turn 1 now, and Ocon holds the position against Pierre Gasly. Now in towards the hairpin, Gasly is going to have another fight versus the Renault drivers. So Gasly doing everything for Renault so far. Not for Renault. Ocon is currently the man doing everything for Renault. Gasly is doing everything for Ford right now, and Ocon doesn't have the DRS on this occasion. Gasly will sprint past the Renault driver and up into, I believe this is P6 now, P7 for Gasly. So this is great stuff, but he didn't quite get the chicane perfect there. He'll have DRS, but there is going to be slipstream to come from it now as they go in towards the first corner. Ocon will try it around the outside in towards turn 1. There's a big lock up. There's a spin as well for Esteban Ocon. There's a spin for Ocon, who's been doing so well in this Grand Prix, and he's held up Nico Hülkenberg. He's held up Devon Butler, and there's a huge amount of cars that have gone through. All 3 of these men have been seriously hampered by this, and now Ocon reverses away. Contact there between himself and the Williams car, and all the hard work that Esteban Ocon has done in this race has been undone. But for us out front, it has been a masterclass of a Grand Prix. We go round the final chicane now. Back end slides ever so slightly. We had a mega start to the race. We got through the traffic, got past Lewis Hamilton, and controlled the race from then on in. It's a great victory for us here in Canada, and one that we definitely wanted, considering how poor the AIs tend to be. But we made up for our qualifying errors and got straight on with it. And as you can see then, that is how the race is going to look then. So as you can see, we managed to get the win and also the fastest lap point. So we managed to take home P1 ahead of Lewis Hamilton and finished in 2nd place. He was only 2.3 seconds behind in the end. It was still close between me and Hamilton in fairness, but we just had the pace to beat him at the end. George Russell finishes in 3rd place for Audi. That is a massive podium for them, and one that he'll be absolutely ecstatic with. Noah finishes in P4. He was only 2.5 seconds behind George at the end. He might have been able to pursue him for a podium, but ran out of laps. Lando Norris finishes in P5, so it was Norris that was the other Red Bull fighting alongside with the rest. And you can see now we've got Pierre Gasly in the Ford finishing in P6. That is an absolutely sensational result for Ford. They seriously needed that, and that is great stuff for him. Reese finishes in P7 for Mercedes, a bad result for him today. Ahead of Charles Leclerc and Sam, of all 3 of those drivers will be disappointed. The safety car seriously cost them. Daniel Ricciardo picking up the final points in P10. Now, as you can see, the second half of the table, Sainz finishes 11th for Ford. He didn't quite manage to replicate the great result that Gasly did. Positive signs for Ford, though, with their upgrades. Verline finishes in P12, ahead of Hülkenberg, of course, who got compromised, as well as Devon Butler and Ocon in that last lap collision. Nico Rosberg finishes in 16th for Porsche, ahead of Valtteri Bottas. Then it is Max Verstappen in the Jaguar in P18. And then Mason Wood and Lucas Weber were the 2 drivers to DNF, who both caused the safety car each. In the Drivers' Championship then, we are now on 95 points and ahead of Lewis Hamilton, who is on 58 points. We now have a very good advantage at the top of the championship after the first 4 rounds. We've really been clinical this first stage. Reese is in 3rd on 50 points ahead of Sam, who's on 41 points. So McLaren and Mercedes started to pull away. Norris 5th in the championship ahead of George Russell then, who picks up a great podium to boost him up the order in the championship. Verstappen is 7th ahead of Leclerc and Noah James, 2 Ferraris, and then Daniel Ricciardo in P10 for Renault. Now moving on into the Constructors' Championship to see how that is panned out after the Canadian Grand Prix. McLaren still have the lead in the championship on 136 points, with Mercedes-Benz hot on their heels with 108 points, and it's clear to see now that it is a 2-horse race gathered already for the Constructors' Championship, with Mercedes and McLaren way ahead of the rest of the field. Ferrari are on 41 points ahead of Red Bull, who are on 39 points. Then we've got Jaguar, who are on 25 points, and then it's Renault on 24 points with Audi on 23. Those sets of teams very close to each other. Ferrari to Audi is not even 20 points, so anything could change between them. We've got Ford then only with 8 points, but critically, those 8 points that they did secure in this Canadian Grand Prix has jumped them ahead of Williams and Porsche now in the championship. So good upgrades for Ford, and it's paid off for them with Porsche on 4 and then Williams are on 0. With that all being said and done, let's get straight into the post-race notebook and see what the teams and drivers had to say after the Canadian Grand Prix. Starting things off then with Tom, and he is happy to make the race count after a poor qualifying session. Tom said that in qualifying he just did not get it right, and he was definitely fast enough to secure at least pole position, but he didn't make it count. In the race, however, he made it count. He got a great start, got past the traffic very, very quickly, and overall it was his overtaking skills that really paid off, and he was able to take the victory. Reese and Sam have both questioned their team's strategy during the safety car periods. Reese was upset that he had to stack with Lewis Hamilton under the safety car, costing him time when he could have just stopped a lap later and potentially even not exactly missed out on the opportunity. Also, Sam questioned that why he was left out during the safety car periods. They should have just put him into the pits, stopped, got a set of soft tyres on, and he would have been able to take advantage of not being held up and losing time from his strategy. George Russell says that he was exhausted after the hard-fought battle for the podium. We saw Russell have to race for literally the entire Grand Prix, fighting as hard as he possibly could against Ocon, Hulkenberg, Tom, Hamilton. We had Noah James in there as well, all for that third place, and eventually he came out on top, and he is very, very tired after that, and it was very clear to see that once interviewing him after the Grand Prix. And then lastly, Esteban Ocon is devastated to have thrown away massive points so late on in the Grand Prix. On the last lap, he made a mistake into the first corner, spun the car around, so he might have even been hit by somebody else, and it cost him critical amounts of points, which is something that Renault desperately need this season. That is everything though for the F1 journey round number 4 here at the Canadian Grand Prix. If you guys have enjoyed the video, feel free to drop it a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And without further ado, that is going to be it for this episode. Next time round, it's going to be round number 5 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching. Take care all. Peace.